And once again, hello everybody, welcome back to more Mechabellum. Playing against Harald Harlos in this replay. Picking the Giant Specialist with Stormcaller Crawler seems like a pretty decent combination. And my opponent is Elite Specialist with Crawler Sledgehammer. All things considering, this should be a fairly, how should I put this, manageable matchup in the first few rounds. But my opponent, as you can already see, I'm gonna speed this one up. The first rounds are never all that interesting. He's going for some aggro, adds on some crawlers, while I add on arc lights. There is some defensive forces here, so it's not like this tower is undefended. However, the level 2 crawlers are going to be a huge problem because the arc lights need 2 shots to kill them opposed to just 1. There is some missiles coming here. Some of the crawlers died, but really not many. That was a whole lot more level 2 crawlers. Meanwhile, on this side, the Arclight is doing its best trying to fight these menaces. And it is kinda managing to kill all of them. Yep. Alright, all of the crawlers have been dealt with. There is only these tanks left. How much work are they going to get done? Well, some of these tanks are stuck on the tower. The other tanks here are pretty low on health. And the Stormcrawlers should be able to just deal with that. Or there is one more crawler that the Arclight could not deal with. And that one crawler, guess what? Is well capable of taking out all of my Stormcrawlers because they have a minimum range. I get scammed for 4 HP. Well, we have some drops. We have Marksman Fangs with level 3, that is a bad drop. Typhoons, and we also have the, or would have had, the Mustangs. I go for the Typhoons because they are a chaff killing unit that can actually deal with level 2 crawlers as well. Though, of course, this Arclight is also capable of doing that. My opponent went for the Marksman. Understandably, he needs some damage, and he has the option of Assault Marksman here. Getting some level 2 Assault Marksman on the board is definitely a strong play, in my opinion. So long as the opponent doesn't respond with EMP. He adds another pack of crawlers over here. And what do I decide to do? I just decide to throw out some crawlers of my own. Covering my flanks, covering my basics. Throwing the Typhoon here. That should allow me to deal with the crawlers that are coming in here. And get some extra damage so that I can deal with other enemies too. These tanks, I don't have the best damage against them. Stormcrawlers are nice, but they are not perfect to deal with tanks. Most of the action is here. We can see the Typhoons here very easily clearing out all of the crawlers. Level 2 crawlers offer more resistance, but they also get wiped out somewhat effectively. Stormcrawlers helping a lot too, and on this side my opponent is simply getting wiped. Stormcaller Salvo has a pretty nice spread and goes and sprays most of these crawlers. My opponent has finally finished clearing the chaff as well, and the units are pushing in on the marksman. The Stormcaller shots take out one of the, I was about to say tanks, but one of the marksmen, and the rest of the marksmen, well, the other marksman also dies to more Stormcaller shots. Units are leveling because they are hitting a lot of leveled units. We have improved Wraith, Wasp Swarm, Photon Coating, and Photon Emission. We're gonna see some more scamming here. I can already tell you that much. My opponent wanted to drop them in the middle, but decided to drop them on the outside. Meanwhile, I just decide to drop them so that they will move towards this tower here. Also, I drop another pack of Typhoons. They seem to be doing a good job for now, and I'm dropping some additional Fangs, which is, I think, oh yeah, it's here in order to slow the enemy down when he pushes in this side here. I will see. I have no defense here against these crawlers, against these wasps, and they will take the tower very quickly, but at the same time, I am also at the throat of towers. And there's no defense against that. I think it's a big problem for Elite Specialists if Wasp Swarms shows up early, because you simply don't have a board that you can just drop 2 Fangs into to protect your towers. It's going to cost you 300 instead of 200, and it still is going to be both of your deployments that you really need at the front. He's taking a while to decide, so let's speed this one up. Sells one of the sledges, apparently goes into Mustangs. And he doesn't seem to drop them in the rear, he drops them at the front. Mustangs, honestly, I don't think they have a choice. And the positioning is even worse. Look at this. Half of the Mustangs basically have already died. Now let the scamming begin. My wasps are at his tower faster, because his wasps, they spent some time intercepting crawlers that were there, and now that the debuff has basically worn off, the other tower goes down. The army is basically already wiped out, and these wasps, with all of these typhoons left, are not going to be on the battlefield for much longer. They do get a tower eventually, but only when it basically doesn't matter. Also, everything they kill, they don't even get XP or anything. My opponent eats a pretty big round here, and it was simply because the crawlers here were still taking up time. Why do I say crawlers? The wasps here were taking time shooting the crawlers and stopping for that. Meanwhile, my wasps did not have the problem, because the crawlers, by the time the wasps arrived at them, they were already like here. So they went for the towers instead. He sold the other pack of tanks. I got a deployment module out of this, and decided to go for another tower attack. More typhoons. They seem to be doing pretty good jobs here, but my opponent has already unlocked the fortress. And he does actually buy out in order to get a fortress on the board. So this is a level 2 fortress. Basically nothing that I have can actually kill this, with the exception of the phoenixes, I guess. The level 3 crawlers here are pretty powerful, but also the I think this was level 3 crawlers at least, but they just get mowed down by the typhoon. Tower falls, and that means it is panic time for my opponent. There is crawlers moving in on the marksman, and that's when you know that things are turning out very badly so far. Even the fortress can't clear all of them that reliably. And now that he is back to full damage, the second tower falls as well. Stormcrawlers and literally all the other small gunfire are well capable of taking that fortress out, only because it's stuck on a lot of chaff, and it's looking pretty freaking desperate here. Wouldn't it be a shame for me to drop the ball? Yeah, I am very good at doing that. Now, I think the obvious pick here would have been the steel balls in hindsight, but, you know, hindsight is, what was this, last Sunday, I think? Hindsight is last Sunday. I still don't have fantastic anti-air, but I have serviceable anti-air. The phoenixes go in with the deployment module for another swipe at the towers, and my opponent keeps dropping fortresses. Meanwhile, my thought was, you know what, why don't I counter this with overlords? Why don't I try to counter this with overlords? Realistically, I definitely think that going for something like a Typhoon Steel Ball composition here could have definitely done some good. My opponent is using more money on temporary stuff, so he's elite and has destroyed his economy. However, some of these fangs actually turn around. He had provisions against these phoenixes coming in from the other side. So let's see if 9 fangs can beat 2 phoenixes. I think the answer is gonna be no. But the battle may very well be over already by the time that these units actually go and do something. Actually, it looks like they're winning. Okay, well, never mind. They are winning. And it goes to show how powerless my army is in the face of these fortresses. I take forever to clear the chaff, and now finally the boat can start shooting this fortress, but it can't kill it as quickly as I would need to. Well, I dropped the ball really hard. The Stormcrawlers work hard to negate some damage here, and at least kill one of the fortresses, which means it's 400 less damage. But this is definitely not how I was hoping this round would go.